Hey guys, so this is going to be my July wrap-up plus a little bit of a haul and my August TBR. I read 5 books in July, but they're all like pretty freaking big, so I'm not like unhappy with that number at all because I read thousands of pages and that's pretty awesome. I'm really happy with what I got through this month. So let's just get right into it. The first book I read this month was We the Drowned by Carsten Jensen. I did a full review of this book. You can go watch that to find my full thoughts on it. I really liked it a lot. It's a Danish book that was translated in English, and it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful writing, really beautiful story. I really enjoyed it a lot. There's a little bit of an adventure. It mostly takes place in this town or on the sea, and it's very nautical. It's a nautical story, and I really liked that a lot. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, there's a little bit of an adventure on the sea, but most of the story surrounds the characters. It's really about the town and its characters over the course of an entire century, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It wasn't like the fastest of books, but I didn't really have a problem getting through any of it. Like, I didn't have any sort of reading slump while reading it. I thought it was all really interesting. It was all really nice to read, and I really liked it. The second book I read in July was Dune by Frank Herbert. This is really the first sci-fi book I've ever read, and it was really, really good. I read this with the BookTube Reading Buddies group, and there was a lot of people that were reading it. A lot of people had a hard time getting through this, because they couldn't really get into the writing. Frank Herbert has a very unique writing style. It's kind of difficult to get into. It made them really hard. It makes it really hard to get into the characters and really care about them and really care about what's going on in the story. I, on the other hand, really, really loved the writing, and I really liked the characters and the story, but what's really great about this book is the world building. It has a lot of thought put into the world building, and it's just really amazing, and I really loved it. I did a full review of this as well, so you can go check that out to hear my full thoughts. I also, we did a watch-along for the Dune movie directed by David Lynch, which was pretty frickin' terrible, but it was a lot of fun to watch it with everybody in the BookTube reading group, and we did like a live show, and I was a part of that as well. It was the first live show I ever did, and I was anxious to get into it. I think it went pretty well. I'm not really sure. I think it went well. I liked it. It was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to talk with the other booktubers about it. There was Estelle from Autumntha, Joe from Final Blow Joe, Vanessa from Chabosky, and Nicole from Nicole's Adventures in Science Fiction. And they were a lot of fun to talk to about this. I will put a link to that live discussion down in the description below as well, if you didn't get to catch it live, or if you feel like you want to watch it. Definitely really glad I picked this up, and I really can't wait to get into more sci-fi in the future. The next 2 books I read in July that I've been talking about a whole lot recently is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson and Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. The first 2 books in the Stormlight Archive series. These were ridiculously amazing. Easily my new favorite series of all time. I mean, it's just perfect. It's perfect in every single aspect that you can think of. The plot, the characters, the world building, the magic system, everything about it is perfect, and I love Brandon Sanderson's writing. I did a full review of The Way of Kings already, and you can go watch that. It's completely spoiler-free if you have not gotten into the series yet, and you are thinking about getting into the series. I definitely suggest watching my review. It might get you interested in picking up sooner rather than later, even though that the size is definitely intimidating. And Words of Radiance, I actually did a buddy read of this with Lindsay from Lindsay Ray and Sarah from Books and Junk, and that was really, really fun. We talked on Voxer about every single chapter as we read them, and we were pretty much all caught up most of the time with each other, so we were always just talking about it as we were all going through it. And it was honestly like one of the funnest reading experiences I've ever had, because like the comments everything that was going on in the book is just so much fun to talk about, because there's just so much to speculate about what's going to happen later in the book, about what's going to happen later in the series, about what's going to happen later within Brandon Sanderson's body of work, like surrounding the Cosmere. And it was in general just a whole lot of fun to do. I definitely recommend reading these books with other people, especially if you're intimidated about getting into the size of them. I think it could really benefit you and your experience with them if you read them with other people. I'm going to do a full review on this book. It's going to be spoiler free for those who have already read The Way of Kings, not spoiler free for those who have not read The Way of Kings. So if you have read The Way of Kings, definitely check out my review when it's out. Probably going to be out like next weekend or something. I kind of have to think about it for a while to figure out what I'm going to say to make it spoiler free. for those who haven't read it yet. The next book I read in July was this book. It's called A Canticle for Leibowitz by Walter M. Miller Jr. This is a classic science fiction post-apocalyptic book. It takes place after, basically, it's like a giant nuclear war that happens sometime. This book came out in 1961 or something like that, and it's about a nuclear war, and everybody pretty much died, and it destroyed the world, basically, and this is what's happened after that. It takes place over thousands of years. Like, the course of the story goes, it covers thousands of years, which makes it really hard to get into sometimes. It makes it really hard to care about the characters all that much. I mean, I didn't really find myself caring about the characters all that much because we didn't really stay with them for very long, because we just kept jumping forward in time. The story itself is really interesting. It's really, really weird. It's a really weird book. I really liked it. It's definitely got a lot of like religious themes to it. It follows religion a lot more than anything else, and which is really interesting. Most of the characters are religious people. It's a really interesting story. Like I said, it was really weird. If you're into science fiction or post-apocalyptic books, I really suggest you read this. It's, like I said, it's a classic. It's won tons of awards. It's like one of the most praised books in those genres, and I can see why. It's definitely really good. The writing is pretty awesome. I did have, like I said, a hard time connecting with the characters or feeling too much about what was going on. Like, I didn't really feel a whole lot of anything, but at the same time, it was still really enjoyable to read. And I'm going to be doing a full review of this as well at some point very soon. The next book that I started in July and that I'm still reading right now and going to finish first in August is George R. R. Martin's Clash of Kings, the second book in A Song of Ice and Fire. I really love this a lot. The series is so good. I can't believe how long it's taken me to finally get into the series. I'm so glad I'm reading it right now, and I'm like a little bit over halfway through this one. I really love it. It's so good. My favorite characters to read from are Tyrion, Arya, and Daenerys. Those are probably my three favorites to read from. I do enjoy reading from Jon's perspective as well. I really love the story. It's so good. I'm not going to do a review on these, I don't think. If it's kind of like doing a review on the Harry Potter series or something like that. It's just, yeah, I could give my input into it like in detail, but you're either going to pick up the series or you're not going to pick up the series. And if you've read the first one, you're either going to read the second one or read the rest of the series, or you're not going to. There's really nothing I could say to convince you to do it even more than seeing all the rest of the hype surrounding the series. I mean, the hype is really good. Like, it makes sense. It's a really good story. It's a lot of fun, and George R. R. Martin's writing is really good, and the characters are great. Pretty much everything about this is great. I really love it, so I'm really excited to finish this and get into the rest of the series. Alright, so those are the books that are in July, and real quick I want to show you a couple of things that I've picked up myself in July at a bookstore, so a little bit of a haul. I'll talk about some of them a little bit more later. I'm just going to show them to you right now. I got the last two books in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, A Song of Susanna and The Dark Tower. I'll talk more about those very soon. And then I also got, just yesterday actually, I got the first 4 volumes in the Dark Tower graphic novel series. There's this big graphic novel series around the Dark Tower with Stephen King as its like creative director. It's the scripting and the writing itself and the art, of course, is not done by Stephen King. It's all done under his direction, and I still really want to read it. I think it's going to be really interesting. I do actually like the art style a lot in these. I was flipping through them, and I really liked it. And they were only like $5 each in this bargain section at the bookstore, so I just got them, and I might wait to see if I actually like them, like these 4, before I really get into the whole series. Like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like them. I got the first 4 because I think that's the correct amount to get for a graphic novel series, to see if I can actually get into it and really love it before I move on to the rest of them. So these ones are The Gunslinger Born, The Long Road Home, Treachery, and Fall of Gilead. So I probably also won't read these until after I've completely finished the Dark Tower series, which I'm going to talk about more in just a second. So, and another book I just got yesterday is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is a science fiction book that takes place in the year 2044, and it's about this video game that everyone plays, and like the creator of the video game just died and like put an Easter egg in the game, and whoever finds the Easter egg like gets his fortune or something like that. I don't know exactly. All I know is that's the general idea, and there's a lot of 80s game references, and I'm really excited to read this. Pretty much every single person that ever reads this loves it. so I finally decided to pick it up. It was the last one that they had in the bargain section of the bookstore, and I had to get it because I know I have to read this at some point. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it. I mean, it sounds like something that I'll really love. I don't know if this is just me, but to anybody else that has read the Pendragon series, is it just me, or is the premise of this book sound a lot like the 4th book in the Pendragon series? The one that takes place on Velox definitely sounds a lot like it, but yeah, I'm really excited to read this finally. And I also got Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is about like a girl assassin, and that's pretty much all I know about it. I've heard a lot about it. I've heard some mixed things about it, but it has sounded like something that I've been wanting to get into for a while. Like, it sounds like something I'll like, and I've been eyeing it for a while, maybe possibly wanting to get into it, and I have an excuse to get into it now, which I'll get into in just a second when I talk about my August TBR. And this next book is actually an arc. It's called The Gallus by Ben Peake. I'm going to be reading this next, as soon as I finish Clash of Kings. This is what I'm going to be reading and finishing, and I'm going to do a review for it. So I don't really know much about it yet. I kind of want to go in not knowing anything about it. I think it'll help my enjoyment of it if I do that. So I'm really excited to get into this without knowing anything about it, and I'm really excited to do a review for it, and you'll see that at some point very soon. But yeah, I guess that starts off my August TBR. This is the first book I'm going to be reading in August as soon as I finish A Clash of Kings. And like I said, I'll definitely be doing a review, and so you can look forward to that. It comes out August 19th, so it hasn't even come out yet, and yeah, maybe I'll love it, and I want you to go out and get it. And now, for the rest of my August TBR, there are some things that I want to start. I've kind of been pressuring myself to read a lot read a lot during the month, and like really pressure myself to follow my TBRs, and I still want to follow my TBRs because I like following them. I usually know what I'm in the mood for, but at the same time I do want to kind of leave myself open for other stuff. So when I say what I'm going to read this month, it might actually not be what I actually read, what I actually finish. I mean, I'm going to start everything that I talk about this month, but I might not finish everything until like September or something. And what I mean when I say that mostly surrounds the full Dark Tower series by Stephen King, 7 books in the series, and then the graphic novels, and then an 8th book that is like a companion to the story. So I'm going to be at least starting the series this month. I was planning on finishing the series this month. Honestly, I don't think that's realistic with all the other stuff I want to read this month. So I'm going to say September. By the end of September, I want to have the series finished. And so it is The Gunslinger, which is the first book, and I've actually read this one like 3 or 4 times already, trying to get in the series before. It's not like I didn't like it, that's why I couldn't move on to the rest of the series, but I just never really got around to moving on to the rest of the series. I'm just going to reread this one. I really love this one. It's really, really good. It's really fast. It really only takes a couple hours to read. And then there's The Drawing of the Three, The Wastelands, Wizard in Glass, Wolves of the Kala, One Just Totally Fell, Song of Susanna, and The Dark Tower. And I love the cover of this one a whole lot. But yeah, I'm going to be starting the series, hopefully finishing it before the end of September. And then Paige from Enchantology is doing a read-along of this series, the Throne of Glass series, which is, like I said, the perfect excuse to finally get into it and see if I like it or not. She's reading all of them in the series. I'm probably only going to be reading this one and then maybe reading the other ones later on, depending on whether or not I like it. I mean, if I really like it, I'll definitely read the other ones, but I probably will only read this one this month. But I'm really looking forward to that because I'm really looking forward to reading it with other people and sharing my thoughts on it with other people. I'll put a link to the read-along group that Paige created in the description, so if you want to join as well, you totally can. Like I said, I've heard a lot of mixed things, a lot of people that really love it, a lot of people that weren't that impressed with it. I think I'm going to like it a lot. It sounds like something I like a lot, so I'm really looking forward to it. And then after all of that stuff, I may be reading Red Seas Under Red Skies, which is the second Lies of Lachlan Moore book with Lindsay and Sarah again, and that would be a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed reading with them. I think I'm going to try to get that book very, very soon. I tried to get it at the bookstore. They didn't have it. Probably going to have to order it. I'm also going to be ordering Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson to read with them in September. So I'm probably going to order both of those, probably tonight or something. And then I'd also like to read a 3rd book in Song of Ice and Fire series, Storm of Swords. I really hope I can get through all of this stuff. I guess we'll see. Probably not, but I'm really hoping that I will. So yeah, that's everything, guys. I'll see you very soon. Let me know what you're reading this month. If you've read anything that I am planning on reading, have read, or that I hauled, definitely let me know what you thought about them. Has anyone read the Dark Tower graphic novel series? And if so, is it any good? Is there a specific point within the Dark Tower, reading the Dark Tower books, that I should pick those up? or should I just wait till the end like I was planning on it? I don't know, I wasn't completely sure. If you have read them, definitely let me know. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you very soon with more.